Hello, welcome to Linear Algebra with NumPy preview video. In this video, we are going to introduce a notion called inner product and then tell you the feeling or the meaning of this function. So recall that we did something like a matrix vector multiplication, and it will give you another vector. And the way we do that is try to take this vector and then take this vector and do some operation to get the first number, and do the same for the second horizontal part and then try to get the second number. And it turns out that these horizontal part is called rows. They are called rows of a matrix. And the action that we are doing here is the inner product of each row with the vector. So if I have a vector 1, 2, 3 and another vector 1, 1, 1, then the action that we did before is called the inner product, and this is 6, and it's the output that we had before. And then this angle x and y is the notation for inner product. And here is the feeling or the intuition about the inner product. So suppose I have a fixed vector r, which I draw it like here, and then you can run this with a different v. Then the inner product of r and v is basically measuring how much this vector v is on the same direction as r. Here is what I mean. This is r vector, and then you can do the inner product of r with r itself, 2r, minus r, and 0. And then you will get the inner product as 14, 28, 0, and minus 14. And it turns out that the further on this direction, you will get the higher value of the inner product. The further the vector is on this direction, then you will get the lower value of the inner product. In fact, it is the negative value. So there is a line in between that where the inner product of the two vectors is exactly equal to 0. And we say the vectors on this line is orthogonal to this r vector. So now you have this feeling, you know the intuition of inner product, and we have the vector v previously, the 1, 1, 1. The inner product of r and v is equal to 6. So you can pause for a while and think about, if I want to plot v on this picture, where should I put the v vector? Now let's look at some code. In this code, we will generate several points, and the way to generate that is to generate a matrix. We have 2 by 10,000 matrix, and then each of them will give you a number very close to 0. And you can generate a vector called r, and you can do the inner product of r and vs. So r and vs will give you the inner product of the first column, and then r and the second column will give you the inner product of the second column with r. And so this dot product will give you 10,000 numbers, which is the inner product of r and all the columns. Now you have seen several functions here. The scatter function is the plotting function, and here vs0 and vs1 representing the rows of vs matrix, first row and second row. So this place we will put the x coordinates, all the x coordinates, and this will put 10,000 y coordinates, and then this will plot 10,000 points on here. And the interesting thing is there is a feature called C, stands for color. You can use the inner product to color each of the things. So the more close to yellow, it has a higher inner product. The more close to this purple has lower inner product. So this is R, and higher inner product, lower inner product. There are several new functions here. I encourage you to use function ? For example, function ? and run the cell to see the document or documentation to see how to work on that.